Welcome to another FAQ Monday. I'm your host, Fluff. If you have a question, feel free to leave them down below in the comments or go on over to my Ask FM thing and you can leave one anonymously so no one has to know who you are. But I wouldn't recommend it. There's some weirdos out there. There's weirdos everywhere, but I mean mostly like out in the Ask FM world. Weirdos, man, you should see some of the questions that I get. Not appropriate. First question. What are the essential plugins for mastering? You know, I've been working really hard on my quote-unquote mastering. Now, I don't like to call it mastering. I really like to call it post-mixing because in my mind, real, actual mastering, you have a bunch of doohickeys and analyzers and you're worried about 32-bit floating point, blah, 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 all that stuff. Actual mastering is an art and science. And calling it mastering, it's kind of fake it's pseudo-mastering. Really is what I do and what a lot of the home studio guys do, because slapping Ozone 5 on a track and calling it good is not mastering. But anyway, a good mastering chain, one that I have been using and one that I've grown into, especially for the Rest Repose record, I really tried to simplify my mastering chain. I didn't want loads and loads of stuff. I really worked hard in getting the mix the way I wanted it to sound, and then left the mastering to be the cleanest, just boosting the volume, basically, is what I really wanted to do with just the mastering. I didn't want to have to do any EQ at all, and I didn't. So what I'm normally using, after I bounce my mix, I will then put it in a project, and the first plugin I use is the FabFilter multi-band compressor. And that's just to even things out across the frequency spectrum, especially the low end. The key to getting a good, nice, loud, clean mix is watching that low end. That low end will kill you every single time. So I'll have the multi-band just kind of, not nothing heavy, but I'll have the multi-band kind of just riding everything. And then I will come in with a Waves, I believe it's the L3 Ultra Maximizer. And I will start to squish it down now. And I'm gonna be limiting it a little bit. And I'm gonna bring the volume up just a little bit, but really I'm gonna even it out even more on a bus. And then from that bus on the master output, I am using Slate Virtual Tape Machine. And then into that, I am using the Slate FGX mastering plugin, and that's it. And that's giving me a really clean, kind of big, full sound without sounding hyper compressed or too perfect or anything like that, because and I'm not a fan of hugely compressed tracks. I don't like that. It's just not my style. I like a Mastodon record, which isn't too crushed in my opinion. It's crushed, but it's not that crushed. So that's what I use for a mastering chain. A lot of guys like Ozone 6 or 7. Ozone 7 just came out. And I have that. It's wonderful, but I really like to use individual plugins as opposed to all-in-one packages, because with the all-in-one packages, I don't really know what's going on and I want to learn what's going on. So there you go. There's some plugins. Start with those and go from there. Is Jared Dines a douche in real life? Sometimes he comes off like the pretentious Hot Topic manager type of guy, and I just wondered if he's actually like that. Maybe it's just large print metalcore band shirts and always having a superhero snapback on. No, good sir, I assure you, Jared has never worked at a Hot Topic that I'm aware of. Jared's a really cool guy in quote-unquote real life. Super down to earth, super humble, and I think he's just an all-around great guy. The only weird thing is, now this could be just me, or maybe it's the dogs bumping over something or something like that, but I feel like every time he comes over and then leaves, something is kind of, I don't know, it's like missing, but anyway, but that's just me. It's probably nothing. But Jared's a great dude, and I really cherish him as a friend. Are there any specific cables you use for both live and studio? The good quality cable argument has been around since the dawn of time. I like Spectraflex cables because back when I was a kid, they were the first monster cable, if I may say that. They were the first cable company to really go, hey, it really matters what kind of cable you're using. You know, just regular off-the-shelf cable doesn't really suffice if you have some super high-end gear in your signal chain. Now, I prefer Spectraflex because they were good enough for Dimebag. They're good enough for me. I mean, it's that simple for me, really. Mogami is very good. I don't like Monster Cable because I'll give you an example. And this happened more than once. I was reamping guitar tracks with my buddy Aaron Smith, and we had my JSX on, and we had a boost running, and we were changing out boosts and reamping the track and just trying out different kinds of tube screamers for this particular guitar track. This is like 2 years ago. And we used a Monster Cable patch cable. And before we even plugged into the cable, or plugged into the pedal, you could get just close to the pedal and it would start passing signal, this like radio frequency-ish. We would hear the guitar track, and the thing wasn't even plugged in to the pedal because the shielding was that poor. I mean, that happened, so we're like, oh, it must be a bad cable, so I went and got another Monster Cable. Same thing happened. And right then and there, I just thought, oh, okay, this is probably what other guys are referring to when they're talking about, oh, you know, I really like a good quality cable, blah, blah, blah. It's that kind of stuff. So I prefer Spectraflex for both live and in the studio. It's just clean, it's consistent. I know exactly how the cables are gonna sound. They sound very nice and full and keep the high ends real nice and sweet. Not so with a lot of other cable companies. A lot of times your high end will just get chopped. So try A and B some of your cables. You'll hear the differences. But yeah, Spectraflex. This week, I suggest you go check out the new Intervals record, The Shape of Color. Oh my lord. This is an instrumental, proggy, shreddy guitar nerd album, and it's all in standard tuning. My boy Aaron Marshall wanted to challenge himself to play everything in standard, and oh my lord. This album is one of the best albums of the year so far. I am not even kidding. And the year's almost over, I know, but you never know when it's gonna happen in the next 2 weeks. But this album is just absolutely incredible. I told him when I first heard it, it was like a koala pooping a rainbow on my brain. That's what this album is. And I am not even kidding, guys. Go check this album out. It's absolutely incredible. Currently, right now, as I film this, it's #1 on iTunes. And it's totally an independent release. Good for Aaron. Intervals, check it out. You will enjoy it, I promise. You've been wonderful. I have been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.